Put $3,000 in the envelope, Officer Travis Cole said, tapping 2 fingers against the glass counter as though the neighborhood grocery store belonged to him. The refrigerators hummed behind Simone Carter. Rain whispered against the front windows. Near the produce aisle, an elderly customer stopped reaching for a can of soup, and 12-year-old Noah Bennett froze beside the cooler with a carton of milk pressed to his chest. Simone did not reach for the money. She looked at the white envelope lying between them, then at the dark body camera mounted on Cole's navy uniform. Its indicator light was off. "What is the payment for?" she asked. Cole smiled without warmth. "For keeping this place open." Officer Evan Briggs stood near the entrance with one hand resting beside his radio. He was younger than Cole, pale-faced and uneasy, and he avoided looking directly at Simone. The front door remained unlocked behind him, but his position made the small store feel sealed. Simone placed both palms lightly on the counter. She wore faded jeans, an olive canvas jacket, and the same worn work boots she had used as a teenager while stocking these shelves after school. Nothing about her announced rank, command, or the years she had spent making decisions under pressure. To Cole, she was simply a black woman standing alone behind a cash register, someone he expected to frighten quickly. "Does your captain know the amount?" Simone asked. The question changed the room. Cole's fingers stopped tapping. Briggs looked up. From the back office, Lillian Carter appeared with one hand braced against the doorframe, still moving carefully after knee surgery. Her silver hair was tied beneath a blue scarf, and fear crossed her face the moment she recognized the officers. "Simone," she said softly, "it is all right." Simone heard what her mother truly meant. Pay them. Let them leave. Survive another month. Cole turned toward Lillian and spread his hands as if he were offering help instead of demanding money. "Your daughter is making this harder than it needs to be, Miss Carter." "My mother asked what this was for last month," Simone said. "You told her it was an inspection." "Fee." Cole looked back at her. "Things change." The amount changed too. It was $1,500 then. Briggs shifted near the door. Cole's jaw tightened, but his smile remained. "You have been asking questions around the block." Simone glanced toward the security mirror above the tobacco cabinet. In its curved reflection, she could see Cole, Briggs, her mother, and the narrow black lens hidden behind a display of paper towels. The old ceiling camera had been broken for months. The smaller backup camera was not. "I have been listening," she said. Cole leaned closer. The smell of rain and bitter coffee clung to his uniform. "Then listen carefully. Your health permit expires next month. Your storage room has wiring older than I am. One phone call could bring inspectors through that door every morning until your customers stop coming." Lillian's fingers tightened around the doorframe. Noah lowered his eyes. The humiliation was not only in the demand. It was in the certainty that everyone present understood the rules Cole had created and believed no one could challenge them. Simone kept her breathing slow. She noticed the missing red light on his body camera, the folded inspection notice beneath his arm, and the small black notebook protruding from Briggs's jacket pocket. 6 store names were visible along the page edge, each followed by a date. The first Friday of every month. This was not one officer improvising. It was a schedule. $3,000, Cole repeated. Cash. Today. Simone opened the register drawer. Cole's expression relaxed. He believed fear had finally reached her. She counted no money. Instead, she removed a pen and placed it beside the envelope. "Write down the amount," she said. "Write what it pays for, and sign your name." Briggs stared at her. Cole's smile disappeared. "You do not set the terms." Simone met his eyes across the glass. Her voice stayed quiet, almost courteous. "Then explain yours clearly." Behind Cole, the refrigerators continued their steady hum. Rain traveled down the windows in silver lines. No one in the store moved. Cole pushed the envelope closer and lowered his voice. "Put the money inside, or by noon. Tomorrow, this shop will have more violations than shelves." Simone looked once more at his disabled camera. Then she looked toward the hidden lens behind the paper towels, where a tiny green light continued recording every word. Simone did not move the envelope. She closed the register drawer and rested one hand on the counter while Cole watched her with the patience of a man accustomed to fear doing his work for him. "Tomorrow at noon," he said. "After that, I stop being generous." He turned toward the door, but Lillian stepped forward before he reached it. "Officer Cole, please," she said. "The store barely covered the electric bill this month." Cole looked at her knee brace, then at the shelves where handwritten sale signs hung beneath fluorescent lights. "Then consider this the cost of staying in business." Briggs opened the door. Cold rain air entered the store, carrying the smell of wet pavement and car exhaust. Before leaving, he glanced back at Simone. His eyes moved briefly toward the hidden camera behind the paper towels. Simone could not tell whether he had noticed the lens or only sensed that she was not as frightened as Cole expected. The door closed behind them, and the bell above it gave one small, cheerful ring that felt wrong in the silence. Noah placed the milk on the counter without speaking. His mother had sent him with $5 folded inside his jacket pocket. Simone rang up the carton, returned his change, and watched him hurry into the rain. Only after the store was empty did Lillian lower herself onto the wooden stool beside the register. "Why did you challenge him?" she asked. "Because he has done this before." "That is why you should not challenge him." Simone looked at her mother. Lillian's hands were folded tightly in her lap, the same hands that had stocked canned goods, balanced receipts, and raised a daughter after Simone's father died. Fear had made those hands look older. "How long has he been coming here?" Simone asked. Lillian turned toward the shelves. "Since spring." "How many payments?" "4." "How much?" Lillian hesitated. "Almost $6,000. The refrigerators seemed louder. Simone slowly removed her olive jacket and hung it on the hook beside the office door. Beneath it, she wore a plain gray shirt, no uniform, no insignia, nothing that connected her to the life she had temporarily left behind. She had returned home on 2 weeks of leave after months overseas, expecting to drive her mother to medical appointments, repair the leaking storeroom sink, and sleep in the bedroom where her high school track medals still sat inside a box. She had not expected to find a system of fear operating from the same counter where her father once taught her to count change. His photograph remained above the office desk. In it, James Carter stood in an Army service uniform beside a much younger Lillian, his expression serious but kind. He had taught Simone that discipline was never about making people obey. It was about controlling yourself when power made obedience easy to demand. Simone entered the office and checked the backup recording. The image was clear. Cole's face, his disabled body camera, the envelope, the threat, and Briggs's black notebook were all visible. The audio captured every word. Lillian stood behind her. "You recorded them." "The store recorded what happened inside it." "And what will that change?" Simone paused the video on Cole's hand, pushing the envelope across the counter. One recording might not change enough. She opened a drawer and removed the stack of inspection notices her mother had saved. Each one carried a different reason for payment. Processing fee. Safety review. Patrol support. None included an official case number. Simone arranged them by date and noticed the pattern immediately. Every notice had been issued on the first Friday of the month. "Who else pays him?" she asked. Lillian named the bakery next door, the laundromat across the street, a family-owned pharmacy, and 3 other businesses along the block. Simone wrote each name on a legal pad. "Do not call them," Lillian said. "Cole will know." "I will not call." Simone picked up her father's old watch from the desk and fastened it around her wrist. The leather band was worn smooth from years of use. "I will walk." By late afternoon, she had visited 6 stores without mentioning Cole's name first. At every location, the owners described the same envelope, the same threats, and the same monthly schedule. Each believed they were alone. Each had paid because they thought resistance would cost more than silence. When Simone returned, rainwater darkened her shoulders and 6 copies of unofficial receipts rested inside her bag. Lillian watched her lock the front door. "What are you going to do?" Simone placed the receipts beside the recording and looked at the tiny green camera light. "First, I am going to let him believe he won." By Friday morning, Simone had built a timeline that reached back 7 months. The bakery owner had paid $900 under the label of emergency sanitation review. The laundromat had paid $1,200 for accelerated compliance processing. The pharmacy had handed over cash after Cole threatened to delay a routine permit renewal. Every receipt used different language, but the handwriting was the same. So was the timing. The first Friday of each month, always before noon, always without an official case number. Simone spread the documents across the office desk while Lillian unlocked the front door. Outside, delivery trucks rolled through puddles, store owners raised metal shutters, and the neighborhood began another ordinary day under an arrangement no one had agreed to but everyone understood. At 9:15, Simone visited the bakery and asked the owner to describe Cole's exact words. At 9:40, she crossed to the laundromat and listened while its owner explained how Briggs stood near the door during every payment, holding the same black notebook. By 10:30, Simone had 6 written statements, 4 security clips, and photographs of 11 unofficial notices. She did not tell anyone what position she held. She only asked questions and let the pattern speak. Back at the grocery store, Lillian watched her organize the evidence into labeled folders. "You always did this," she said. "Did what?" Made silence nervous. Simone looked up. Her mother smiled faintly, but fear remained behind it. "Your father used to say you could stare at a problem until it confessed." Simone glanced at James Carter's photograph above the desk. "Problems do not confess. People do." At 11, the bell above the entrance rang. Briggs stepped inside alone. Rain dotted the shoulders of his uniform. His body camera showed a red recording light this time, but his hand moved almost immediately to cover it. "Cole sent me to confirm tomorrow's inspection," he said. Simone remained behind the counter. "What inspection?" Briggs removed a folded notice from his pocket. "Electrical, storage, food safety, whatever applies. That is not how inspections work. I am not here to argue." He placed the notice down but did not release it. The paper carried no department seal, no inspector name, and no reference number. Simone looked at the black notebook inside his jacket. "How many stores are on your list?" Briggs stiffened. "What list?" "The one you carry every first Friday." His eyes moved toward the ceiling camera, then toward the paper towels hiding the smaller lens. This time, Simone knew he had seen it. "You should tell Cole the camera is broken," she said. Briggs looked back at her. "Is it?" "That is what my mother told him." For several seconds, neither spoke. The refrigerators hummed behind them. A delivery cart rattled past the front window. Briggs lowered his voice. "You need to pay him and let this end." "Does it end after 3,000? He did not answer. "Or does the number change again next month?" Briggs released the notice and stepped back. "You do not understand who you are dealing with." Simone folded the paper once. "I understand exactly who I am dealing with. I am still deciding whether you do." The words unsettled him. He looked toward the office, where 6 folders rested beneath her father's photograph. "What are those?" "Receipts." Briggs's face lost color. "From who?" "People who thought they were alone." He reached for the notebook in his jacket, then stopped himself. Simone noticed. "Cole writes the reports," she said. "You keep the real record. You do not know anything about that. Then tell me I am wrong while your camera is running." Briggs glanced at the red indicator on his chest. His hand hovered near the control button, but he did not switch it off. "Tomorrow at noon," he said. "Have the money ready." He turned toward the door. "Evan." Simone's use of his first name stopped him. "When this breaks open, Cole will say you acted alone." Briggs stood with his back to her. Rain streaked the glass beyond him. "He already has a report prepared," Simone continued. "You know that because you have seen him write reports before the facts were finished." Briggs slowly looked over his shoulder. The fear in his expression was different from Lillian's. Lillian feared losing her store. Briggs feared discovering that the protection he believed loyalty offered had never existed. He left without another word. Simone watched him cross the sidewalk and enter Cole's patrol car. Through the rain, Cole leaned toward him and asked a question. Briggs answered, but his hand remained pressed over the notebook inside his jacket. Simone returned to the office and opened a secure phone hidden beneath the bottom drawer. She typed one sentence to a number she had not used since coming home. The pattern is confirmed. Prepare an independent handoff. The secure phone vibrated once beneath Simone's palm. No ringtone. No name on the screen. Only a short encrypted reply, independent review approved. Preserve the exchange. Simone deleted the message, returned the phone to the hidden drawer, and stepped back into the store before Lillian could ask what it meant. The afternoon passed beneath fluorescent light and steady rain. Customers came for bread, canned soup, detergent, and coffee. Simone greeted each of them as she had when she was 17, but her attention remained fixed on the pattern Cole had built. Every threat depended on isolation. Every false fee depended on one owner believing no one else would speak. By closing time, 6 business owners had agreed to preserve their receipts and video recordings. 4 were willing to make formal statements. 2 were still too frightened. Simone did not pressure them. Fear forced into testimony could collapse under scrutiny. She needed truth given freely. After the last customer left, she locked the door and lowered the blinds halfway. Lillian stood beside the register counting the day's receipts. You contacted someone, she said. Simone looked toward the office. Yes. From the army? Not exactly. Lillian waited. Simone had learned early that her mother could turn silence into an interrogation without raising her voice. An independent federal investigator, Simone said. Someone outside the local department. Lillian's hand stopped over the cash drawer. Because you are an officer. Because evidence needs somewhere safe to go. That was not my question. Simone met her mother's eyes. My position helped me reach the right person quickly. Lillian closed the drawer. And if you were only my daughter behind this counter? Simone looked at the unofficial notices spread across the office desk. Then the evidence should still matter. The answer did not comfort either of them. At 8 the next morning, Simone opened the store early. She placed the original security recordings on an encrypted drive and sealed copies inside 2 separate envelopes. One went into the office safe. The other was taped beneath a loose shelf in the storeroom. She photographed every marked bill that would go inside Cole's envelope and recorded each serial number on a clean sheet of paper. Lillian watched from the doorway. You are really giving him the money? For less than 1 minute. And if he takes it somewhere no one can follow? He will not. Simone adjusted the hidden camera behind the paper towels until it captured the entire counter, the register, and the front entrance. A second recorder rested beneath the wooden lip of the checkout station. Nothing about the setup looked unusual. That was the point. At 11:47, Cole's patrol car stopped outside. Briggs sat in the passenger seat, staring toward the store. Cole spoke to him for several seconds, then pointed toward the black notebook inside Briggs's jacket. Simone could not hear the words, but she recognized the pressure in Cole's posture. Control disguised as instruction. Briggs entered first. His body camera was recording. Cole followed with his camera dark. You have the money? Cole asked. Simone placed the white envelope on the counter. Before you take it, I want the terms explained. Cole looked amused. You had all night to understand. $3,000 today, Simone said. What happens next month? That depends on whether the store behaves. What does behaving mean? His smile thinned. No complaints. No calls to city offices. No questions about inspections. Briggs looked toward the hidden camera again. Simone saw recognition in his face. Cole did not. And the other stores, she asked. Cole's eyes sharpened. What other stores? The bakery. The laundromat. The pharmacy. The repair shop. Lillian stood near the office door, one hand resting against the frame. Cole turned toward her. You have been talking. Simone stepped slightly to the side, placing herself between him and her mother without making the movement confrontational. I asked a simple question. You asked too many. Then answer one. Simone pushed the envelope 1 inch forward. Who receives the money after you leave? Cole placed his palm over it. You do not need that information. Does Captain Rachel Monroe know? Briggs's breathing changed. Cole glanced at him. Turn off your camera. Briggs did not move. Evan, Cole said, colder now. Turn it off. The red indicator remained lit. Cole reached toward Briggs's chest, but Briggs stepped back. The store became very quiet. Outside, a delivery truck passed through the rain. Inside, the recorder beneath the counter captured every breath. Why should I turn it off? Briggs asked. Cole stared at him as though the question itself were betrayal. Because this is department business. This is cash from a grocery store. Cole's hand tightened around the envelope. Simone watched the exact moment his confidence began to fracture. Take the money, she said. You came here for it. He looked at her, then at Briggs, then toward the silent camera he believed was broken. Slowly, he lifted the envelope from the counter. The marked bills shifted inside with a soft paper sound. Good choice, Cole said. Simone looked directly at the disabled body camera on his chest. I agree. Cole frowned. Then the secure phone hidden in the office vibrated twice, signaling that the live evidence transfer had begun. Cole held the envelope beneath the fluorescent lights, testing its weight with one hand while the secure transfer continued from the back office. The marked bills inside had already been photographed, logged, and copied to an independent evidence server, but nothing in Simone's expression revealed that. She stood behind the counter with her shoulders relaxed and watched him believe he had won. Open it, she said. Cole looked at her. Why? You demanded $3,000. Count it. Briggs remained near the entrance, his body camera still recording. Cole glanced toward the red indicator and then toward the dark camera on his own chest. You trying to prove something? I am making sure there is no misunderstanding later. The words settled between them. Cole pulled open the envelope and counted the bills against the glass counter, one stack at a time. The hidden camera captured every serial number facing upward, every movement of his hands, and every word spoken beneath the steady hum of the refrigerators. Lillian watched from the office doorway, her face pale but composed. When Cole finished, he returned the money to the envelope and tucked it beneath his arm. Your inspection problem is gone, he said. For this month? Simone asked. For as long as you remember how things work. And if I tell another store owner? Cole leaned forward. Then everyone on this block gets reviewed. Permits, wiring, storage, payroll, anything we can find. Briggs's eyes shifted toward him. Cole continued, too certain of his control to hear how clearly he was describing the system. People think businesses close because of one violation. They close because somebody decides to keep looking. Simone let the silence stretch. The recorder beneath the counter caught the soft rattle of rain against the window. Who decides? She asked. Cole smiled. People with authority. Briggs looked down at the notebook inside his jacket. Simone saw his fingers tighten around its edge. Travis, he said quietly, we should leave. Cole ignored him. He turned toward Lillian. Your daughter needs to understand that this store survived because we allowed it to. Lillian's fear hardened into something else. This store survived. 40 years before you walked through that door. Cole's expression cooled. Careful. Simone stepped between them, not aggressively, simply placing her body where his attention had to return to her. You have the money, she said. Go. Cole studied her face. He seemed disappointed that she had not broken, but satisfied enough to accept the envelope as proof of obedience. He walked toward the entrance. Briggs remained still. Evan, Cole said. Move. Briggs looked at Simone, then at Lillian, then toward the hidden lens. For 1 second, Simone thought he might place the notebook on the counter. Instead, he followed Cole into the rain. The patrol car pulled away at 11:58. Simone locked the front door and lowered the blinds. Lillian sat on the stool beside the register, pressing both hands over her knees. He took it, she whispered. Yes. What if the people you contacted do nothing? Simone opened the office door. The secure phone displayed a completed transfer confirmation, along with a second message, audio and video received. Marked funds confirmed. Maintain cover. She turned the screen toward her mother. They are doing something. Lillian read the message twice. Who are they? A federal public corruption team working with someone outside Cole's chain of command. And they know who you are. Simone looked at her father's photograph. They know enough. She removed the backup drive from the recorder and sealed it inside an evidence envelope. Then she placed the unofficial receipts, written statements, and photographs beside it. 6 businesses. 7 months. Thousands of dollars. A pattern no report could explain away. Lillian touched the empty spot on the counter where the envelope had rested. You could have stopped him when he first came in. I could have stopped one payment. Simone turned off the front lights, leaving only the pale refrigerator glow across the aisles. But then he would have called it a misunderstanding, and every other owner would still be alone. Outside, Cole's patrol car disappeared beyond the intersection. Inside the vehicle, Briggs stared at the envelope beneath Cole's arm and listened as Cole described how he would write the encounter. Cooperative owner. Voluntary fee. No dispute. Briggs opened his black notebook and looked at the names filling its pages. For the first time, the list did not resemble records. It resembled witnesses. Cole noticed him reading. Do not get sentimental, he said. Briggs closed the notebook. What happens if she talks? Cole laughed. Who will believe a shopkeeper over 2 officers? Back in the darkened store, Simone's secure phone vibrated once more. The message contained only 4 words. Bring him back tomorrow. The store remained dark except for the refrigerator lights, pale strips of blue and white stretching across the floor between the aisles. Simone stood behind the counter with the secure phone in one hand and the message still glowing on the screen. Bring him back tomorrow. Lillian read the words over her shoulder, then lowered herself onto the wooden stool. Why would he come back after taking the money, she asked. Simone locked the phone and placed it beside the evidence folders. Because people like Cole do not return only for cash. They return to make sure fear is still working. Rain moved softly across the front windows. Outside, the block had gone quiet, metal shutters lowered over the bakery and laundromat, streetlights reflecting in long yellow lines across the wet pavement. Simone walked through the aisles and checked every camera angle again. The hidden lens behind the paper towels covered the register. The recorder beneath the counter captured voices clearly. A second camera inside the office faced the front entrance through a narrow gap in the blinds. Nothing had been placed to provoke Cole. Everything had been positioned to preserve what he chose to do. Lillian watched her daughter move with careful precision. You look like your father when he used to prepare for inspections, she said. Simone paused beside the old photograph. He prepared so people could not invent reasons to punish him. And you prepare so they cannot invent a reason to escape. Simone looked at the 6 receipts lined across the desk. I need him to explain the system one more time. The investigators want him to connect the payment to the threats while the marked money is still in his possession. Lillian rubbed her hands together. You could tell him who you are. That would end the conversation. Would that be so terrible? Simone sat across from her mother. The refrigerator compressor clicked off, leaving the store suddenly still. If I show him my rank now, he will become careful. He will apologize, call it confusion, and claim he never intended to take anything. Then the next shopkeeper without a rank will still face him alone. Lillian's eyes moved toward the dark front window. I do not like watching you pretend to be powerless. Simone reached across the desk and covered her mother's hand. I am not pretending to be powerless. I am choosing not to use power before the evidence can protect everyone. For a long moment, neither spoke. The quiet carried the smell of coffee grounds, cardboard, and rain-soaked pavement. Lillian finally nodded. What do you need me to do? Tomorrow morning, act exactly as you did today. Stay near the office. Do not argue with him. If he asks where the money came from, tell the truth. It came from the store safe. And if he threatens to close us, let him speak. Simone opened the evidence folder and placed 6 business names in a straight line. Every word builds the pattern. Near midnight, Simone left through the rear door and drove 3 miles to a 24-hour diner beside the interstate. Special Agent Marcus Hale waited in a corner booth, dressed in a plain brown jacket, a cup of untouched coffee cooling before him. He was a black man in his late 40s with the quiet patience of someone who had spent years listening to people underestimate evidence. Simone slid the encrypted drive across the table. Cole took the marked cash at 11:54, she said. Briggs recorded the exchange on his body camera. Hale studied her. You are certain Briggs will return? Cole will order him to. And you believe Briggs may cooperate? Simone looked toward the rain moving across the diner window. He has started asking questions. That means loyalty is no longer comfortable. Hale placed the drive inside a sealed evidence pouch. Captain Rachel Monroe. Will monitor tomorrow from an unmarked vehicle. We will not enter until Cole clearly repeats the threat or attempts another demand. Understood. Hale leaned back. Colonel Carter, you know you do not have to be inside the store. It was the first time anyone had spoken her title since she returned home. Simone's face remained still. My mother had to be inside every time he came. Hale held her gaze, then nodded. By 9 the next morning, the grocery store lights were on, the shelves were straight, and fresh coffee warmed behind the counter. Simone wore the same jeans, olive jacket, and worn boots. No uniform. No insignia. Across the street, an unmarked sedan sat beneath a dripping maple tree. At 9:17, Cole's patrol car turned onto the block. Briggs sat beside him, the black notebook visible in his hands. Cole parked directly in front of the store. Before opening his door, he pointed toward Briggs's body camera and gave a sharp instruction. Briggs looked down at the red light. This time, he did not turn it off. The bell above the door rang as Cole entered, carrying the white envelope inside his jacket. Briggs followed 2 steps behind, his body camera recording every movement. Simone stood at the register with a box of canned vegetables open beside her, arranging the display as though this were an ordinary Friday morning. Lillian remained near the office doorway, one hand resting on the frame. Across the street, the unmarked sedan stayed still beneath the dripping maple tree. Cole walked directly to the counter. We have a problem, he said. Simone placed one can on the shelf and turned toward him. You collected the money. That is the problem. He removed the envelope and dropped it onto the glass. These bills are recorded. The store became silent. Briggs looked at the envelope, then at Simone. Cole leaned closer. You thought you were clever. Simone did not touch the money. How did you discover that? I check what people give me. Why would an officer need to check cash collected for an inspection fee? Briggs's eyes shifted toward Cole. The red light on his camera remained steady. Cole noticed it and pointed toward his chest. Turn that off. Briggs did not move. I said turn it off. Captain Monroe ordered all field cameras to remain active this morning, Briggs said. Cole stared at him. She gave no such order. Then it should not matter if this conversation is recorded. The change in Briggs's voice was small, but Simone heard it clearly. He was no longer asking himself whether Cole would protect him. He was deciding whether the truth would. Cole turned back to Simone. Where did the money come from? The store safe. Who marked it? Why would that concern you if the payment was legal? Cole's face hardened. He took the inspection notice from beneath his arm and placed it beside the envelope. Your electrical permit is incomplete. Your storage room is not compliant. Your business can be closed before lunch. Lillian took one step forward. Simone lifted a hand without looking back, asking her mother to remain where she was. You told us the payment would remove the inspection problem, Simone said. Now you are saying the problem still exists. The payment was for cooperation. Cooperation with what? Cole glanced at Briggs, then lowered his voice. With keeping your name off the list. Simone looked toward the black notebook inside Briggs's jacket. That list. Cole realized too late where her eyes had gone. Give it to me, he told Briggs. Briggs placed one hand over the notebook. Why? Because it is department property. There is no department case number in it. Cole stepped closer. You are following my orders. Briggs's breathing changed, but he held his position. Simone could see the conflict in his face, fear pressing against the first honest choice he had made in months. Evan, she said, you know what is written in that book. Cole pointed at her. Do not speak to him. Every store. Every date. Every payment, Simone continued. You kept the record because part of you knew the official reports were false. Briggs looked at the notebook, then at Lillian. How many people paid because they believed they were alone? Simone asked. Cole reached for the envelope. This conversation is over. No, Briggs said. The word was barely louder than the refrigerators, but it stopped. Him. Briggs removed the notebook from his jacket and placed it on the counter. Cole stared at it. Pick that up. Briggs stepped back. Every payment is in there. The bell above the front door rang again. Captain Rachel Monroe entered first, wearing her uniform and an expression of controlled disbelief. Special Agent Marcus Hale followed in a plain brown jacket, holding a federal credential where both officers could see it. 2 internal affairs investigators remained near the entrance. Cole's face emptied. Captain, this is not what it looks like. Monroe looked at the envelope, the notebook, and the dark body camera on Cole's chest. Then explain it. Before he could answer, the office door opened behind Simone. She removed her olive jacket and handed it to Lillian. Beneath it, she wore a formal Army service uniform prepared before sunrise, its insignia precise, its ribbons arranged with quiet order. Cole's eyes moved upward until they reached the rank on her shoulders. Simone stepped from behind the counter. No weapon. No raised voice. Only the stillness of someone who had spent years carrying responsibility without needing to announce it. Hale faced Cole. Colonel Simone Carter has been assisting this investigation since the pattern was confirmed. Cole looked at the woman he had called a shopkeeper, then at the marked money he had carried back into the store. For the first time, the uniform on his own body offered him no protection. For several seconds, no one moved. Rain tapped the front windows, the refrigerators hummed, and the white envelope rested beside Briggs's notebook like 2 pieces of evidence waiting to be named. Captain Rachel Monroe looked at Cole's dark body camera, then at the red light still glowing on Briggs's chest. Officer Cole, place your badge, radio, and department identification on the counter, she said. Cole stared at her. Captain, you are making a mistake. The mistake was allowing this pattern to continue unnoticed. Her voice remained level. Do as instructed. Cole looked toward Simone as though her uniform had somehow created the evidence around him. This was a misunderstanding, he said. She set us up. Special Agent. Marcus Hale opened a sealed evidence pouch and removed a printed list of serial numbers. The marked bills were transferred to you yesterday at 11:54 in the morning. Your voice connected the payment to threats against this business and 5 others. Today, you returned carrying the same funds and repeated the demand while 2 independent recording systems were active. Cole's eyes moved toward the paper towel display. The tiny green light remained visible behind it. Briggs lowered his gaze. He had known the camera was there, yet the full weight of the moment reached him only now. Monroe stepped closer to the counter. The notebook, Officer Briggs. Briggs pushed it toward her. Every store is listed by date and amount, he said. Some entries go back more than a year. Cole turned sharply. You do not know what those notes mean. Briggs looked at him. I wrote them. The words ended the last shelter Cole had tried to build. Monroe opened the notebook and saw columns of business names, payment amounts, inspection codes, and initials. Some pages included reminders to increase pressure on owners who had paid late. Others listed which body cameras had been disabled during collections. Her expression changed from disbelief to quiet anger. How long? She asked. Briggs swallowed. 11 months. How many officers knew? I only know what Cole told me. Then tell Agent Hale everything you know. Cole removed his badge slowly and placed it on the counter. The metal made a soft sound against the glass. His radio followed. Without them, his uniform looked suddenly ordinary. You are taking the word of a frightened junior officer and a woman who hid her identity, he said. Simone met his eyes. My identity did not create your choices. Cole gave a bitter laugh. You let me believe you were only working in a store. I was working in a store. Simone stepped closer, but her voice remained calm. That should have been enough for you to treat my mother lawfully. Lillian stood behind her daughter, one hand covering the other. Cole looked from the army insignia to the rows of canned goods, as if he still could not accept that both belonged to the same person. You could have stopped this the first day, he said. I could have stopped what you did to us, Simone replied. I needed to stop what you were doing to everyone. Hale documented the envelope, counted the marked cash in view of the cameras, and sealed the money inside an evidence bag. An internal affairs investigator photographed the notebook before placing it into a separate container. Every step was slow, visible, and recorded. No one shouted. No one needed to. The system Cole had manipulated was now preserving the truth with the same precision he had once used to hide it. Monroe informed him that he was suspended pending investigation and directed him to leave with the internal affairs team. As he walked toward the door, Noah Bennett appeared outside beneath a yellow raincoat, holding his mother's grocery list. He saw Cole without his badge and stepped aside. Cole paused, but no one looked afraid of him now. After the door closed, the bell rang once and settled. Briggs remained beside the counter. I should have spoken months ago, he said. Simone removed her service cap and placed it near her father's photograph. Yes, she answered. She did not soften the truth for him. Briggs nodded. I will testify. Then tell all of it, she said. Not only what he ordered, but what you allowed. Captain Monroe closed the notebook. The affected business owners will be contacted today. We will arrange independent interviews and begin tracing every payment. Lillian looked at the shelves, the counter, and the empty space where Cole's badge had rested. Will they get their money back? Hale answered carefully. We will seek restitution for every documented payment. Simone looked through the rain-streaked window toward the bakery, the laundromat, and the pharmacy. Their owners were beginning to gather outside, drawn by the unmarked cars and unfamiliar investigators. For the first time, they were not standing alone. Simone folded her olive jacket over one arm and looked at Briggs. A uniform is supposed to protect the person with the least power in the room, she said. The moment it becomes a tool for fear, it stops representing service. Briggs looked toward his recording camera. This time, he left it running. For months later, the grocery store opened beneath a clear blue morning, its front windows washed clean and its shelves brighter than Lillian remembered them. The bakery owner stood near the produce aisle holding a restitution check. The laundromat owner carried another inside a plain white envelope. One by one, the business owners who had paid in silence received documented repayments from funds recovered during the investigation. Some amounts were small. Others represented months of rent, payroll, and fear. Together, they formed a record no one could dismiss as a misunderstanding. Officer Travis Cole was no longer wearing a badge. The investigation had uncovered false reports, disabled body cameras, fabricated inspection notices, and payments taken from more than a dozen neighborhood businesses. He faced criminal charges and the permanent loss of his law enforcement certification. Officer Evan Briggs testified before an independent panel and accepted discipline for failing to intervene. His cooperation reduced the consequences, but it did not erase them. He was reassigned, placed under supervision, and required to speak during ethics training about the difference between following orders and surrendering judgment. Captain Rachel Monroe replaced the informal inspection process with documented review, automatic camera audits, and outside approval for business enforcement actions. The changes did not undo the fear Cole had created, but they made it harder for the next person to hide behind a uniform. Simone stood behind the counter in jeans and her olive jacket, her formal army uniform packed inside a garment bag near the office door. She was returning to her unit that afternoon. Lillian moved carefully between the register and the coffee station, stronger now, though she still used the wooden stool when her knee became tired. Above the office desk, James Carter's photograph remained beside the sealed copy of the final investigation report. Noah Bennett entered with a $5 bill and placed a carton of milk on the counter. Are you leaving today? He asked. Simone scanned the carton. In a few hours. Will you come back? This is home, she said. Noah looked toward the front window, where a new patrol officer was helping the pharmacy owner carry 2 boxes from a delivery van. Are the police different now? Simone followed his gaze. Some are. Some are trying to be. Rules can change quickly. People usually take longer. Noah thought about that while she handed him his change. Near noon, the business owners gathered outside for a small reopening ceremony. No reporters had been invited. Lillian did not want speeches. She wanted customers, conversation, and the ordinary sound of the doorbell ringing without fear attached to it. Simone carried a new wooden sign from the storeroom and placed it beside the entrance. The words were simple: everyone is welcome. No one pays for dignity. Lillian read the sign, then looked at her daughter. Your father would have liked that. Simone adjusted the corner until it hung straight. He would have said it should not need to be written. Maybe not, Lillian replied. But some people need reminders. Across the street, Briggs stood beside an internal affairs supervisor after completing a follow-up interview with one of the store owners. He no longer carried the black notebook. When he saw Simone, he crossed the road and stopped several feet from the entrance. Colonel Carter, he said. I wanted to thank you for giving me the chance to tell the truth. Simone looked at him steadily. The truth was not mine to give you. Briggs accepted the correction. Then thank you for making it impossible to ignore. Do not wait for that next time. He nodded. I will not. After he left, Simone helped Lillian close the register and carried her garment bag toward the door. The morning sunlight stretched across the tile, touching the counter where Cole had once placed the white envelope. Nothing remained there now except a bowl of wrapped candy for children. Lillian hugged her daughter and whispered, "You protected this place." Simone looked through the window at the bakery, laundromat, pharmacy, and repair shop opening under the same clear sky. They protected each other when they stopped believing they were alone. She stepped onto the sidewalk as the patrol car passed slowly through the block. No owner lowered their eyes. No one reached for an envelope. The power Cole had taken from fear had disappeared the moment truth became shared. Simone walked toward her waiting car without looking back, carrying no triumph, only the quiet certainty that strength was not proven by how quickly someone could overpower an enemy. It was proven by how carefully they could protect people who had been taught to remain silent. So what would you have done in Simone's place? Reveal your authority immediately, or stay quiet long enough to expose the entire system?